To illustrate where you are right now, it's not so much a clearing as a thick nest of trees and bushes. Most of the trees around here are pretty healthy, although the canopies are pretty thin. You could probably climb up the limbs of these trees without much difficulty. It's like they were built for climbing, and given the trajectory of those arrows that have just hit the earth, these archers are probably up in those trees, or up in some trees nearby. There's not much here in the way of cover. There's a small mound of earth, but there's a hole underneath it, so clearly it's just a mound that a mammal or some other creature has dug up in order to get down into the ground. There's a little bit of camouflage you could probably take on amidst all the undergrowth, but it really depends on how well you have been spotted.
I quickly hiss to Turfin. We're surrounded by traps. We can't be running away.
I keep a good eye on the elven woman to make sure that she is protected.
Okay, could I ask for initiative rolls from each of you, please?
7.
11.
7.
You hear a voice from the thick of the trees to your right, in the direction where tripwires and who knows what is laid. I think it would be a good idea for you to lay down your arms. How about that?
Who's there? Show yourself!
Oh, no. You and your friends have shown yourselves quite well already, and we enjoy the cover of darkness and camouflage. How about you?
Coward! Show yourself!
We are the Forest Hollow Legionnaire, and there are more of us than there are of you. So you can fight and you can defend, you can put your shields up, but there are more of us and we will take you out.
Oh? Would you do us the honour at least of saying who you are? Will you be talking to the Sentinels? Perhaps?
That ye be.
Well, ain't that a quinky-dink? We were looking for you.
Archer, range. Kiesel. Lot. Don't pepper them yet. It is Shagmane's turn, so yes, sorry. Yalmar, what do you want Shagmane to do?
Well, I just think to myself, if they went to attack first, then they're just gonna try and kill us. But at the same time, if he's saying the truth, that these are actually the Sentinels, then these are the people that we need to talk to. I wonder if I can somehow intimidate them to stand down. Even though we're obviously in a bad spot here. But making them believe that we're either more than we are or far too hard a catch to take on.
Give it a try.
Right. Yeah. I cry out. We are sent here by the Hollow Legionnaires. We have come to find the remaining contingent, and I suggest that you help us instead of stand in our way. And I try to make that as intimidating as I can.
Can I assist here?
Not yet, it's not your turn, but if there's anything you wish to add, depending on how well this goes, we shall see.
I roll an 11.
Listen, buddy. You're here on our territory. And we know where your Hollow Legionnaires have gone. We do. So we don't want to hurt you.
I can see that.
But you ain't going any deeper into this forest. Not without a gift. And Turfin? It is between you and Carter at this point, so do you wish to add anything more to that?
What kind of gift?
The old woman. We smelled her coming through. We'll take her off your hands, and if you will just deliver her to us, we will deliver you to your Hollow Legionnaire.
Absolutely not.
She looks over to Turfin, a little sad, says, I'm going to die soon anyway.
No. We're not giving you over to them. There's no way that's happening while I'm alive. You don't have a choice in this matter.
Listen, Paladin, we've not been companions for longer than a day. But I am just a short distance away from where I intended to be. What matter is it if I die 200 yards away from my destination?
It matters in the eyes of the god. And it matters for the sake of goodness. For the sake of evil not conquering. Just because they come with their weapons and threats. They're not gonna get what they want. And they're not gonna get you.
Goodness, you're in the wrong forest for goodness. Hollow Legionnaire.
Not as long as I'm in this forest.
Your words actually draw the sentinel out. He's not stood near you, but Cutter, you can see him now. You see an elf with a face marked with mud and tattoos. Hair grey but streaked with what's probably blood. Maybe some kind of war painting. Holding quite the impressive bow in his hand. And he just has this grin on his face. He looks supremely self-confident.
I, ever so slightly, do a quick movement with my hands. I'm trying to get one of my darts into my hand and aimed at who I assume is the leader. I'm obviously trying to do this stealthily with my sleight of hand.
Make your roll.
So using sleight of hand. 28.
Your dart makes its way from your belt to your hand without any kind of obvious motion. If an observer were to see it, they would think you were somehow able to move a dart telekinetically. They're not seeing the ripple of muscles that is guiding this weapon to your hand. As it happens, this elf in the woods doesn't spot it at all.
It seems we're at a little bit of a standstill, but the question is, now you've stepped out, how quick would you be able to step back again before I aim a dart right between your eyes? Not that I'm going to do that, just saying that we should keep talking, shouldn't we?
It's been a long time since I've had the chance to hunt something fun and interesting. I wonder how lethal your dart would be compared to an arrow between your eyes.
Why don't you just step into the forest with your friends, leave us alone, and let this elderly woman die in peace? This is all we are here for. She's lived a long life. She just want to die a place that she knows and she cares about.
Not to mention,
It might get very ugly if you don't do that. I would like to make a intimidation roll. Yes.
Please do.
I roll a 19.
The smile that Carter can see on the elf's face has faltered. Fine. If you ain't gonna give us what we want, we ain't gonna give you Jack. Come on, everybody. Let's retreat into the woods and let's see how far they get.
wait. Just because we're not all gonna kill each other today doesn't mean we can't do a trade of some sort.
I just look at him questioningly. What has he got up his sleeve this time?
A trade. What trade could you possibly have, Slytherin?
I kind of wrinkle my nose. I look at Turfin and the old lady. I sigh a little. I will, this time, obviously, reach into my satchel and just quickly pull out the trinket I took today and just sort of dangle it a little in the air. Little tribute? After all, you're only telling us a location, not exactly going and helping us in any other way.
You villain!
It doesn't matter. Let him do his thing.
That's pretty. What do you propose I do with it? Hanging off a tree branch?
Don't you do? Forgot druids. Well, can't you take this and say that it counts as taking the elf? After all, you can see it's probably something very important to them. And for that, you can laugh with your friends and give us a location. We'll probably die in the location, so you could even laugh about that later.
Oh, you'll definitely die here. You throw that jewelry in my direction, and I will, tit for tat. I'll give you something. If there's anything we druids appreciate, it's balance.
Rotten balance. Aye, I'll throw it over, but just so you know, if it's not something useful, I might throw something else. And my eyes sort of focus on him, a reddish tinge to them. This is a common feature of my eyes, for I am, fortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, infused with the blood of a titan. And I throw the little trinket.
And the elf leans forward slightly, just slightly, to get a better look at the trinket. Not a small bauble at all. And how do you feel about this, then, Ignar? They should not have taken that from the village.
We are saving your life.
My life means less than the protective wards around that village. Well, I will give you something. And he steps toward the trinket and lowers himself, keeps his eyes on you to pick it up. Do any of you do anything?
I just look between them, and this is forming up to be a quite epic tale, I think to myself. I like this. And ward of the village that he stole. Yes.
Fine. You're looking for legionnaires, yes?
Aye. Particularly the legionnaires that, you know, came through here recently and are currently lost.
Oh, yes. There are too few of them from there to be any confusion. Yeah, there were other legionnaires looking for them. But these ones, the ones you are seeking, they were headed toward a temple, an old temple of Mormo, deep in this forest. Far too consigned to wreck and ruin for even the druids, the sentinels, to visit. But they felt that there might be some cure for their particular condition there. And, well, after they made payment to us, we showed them on their way.
Do you know anything about this curse or the blight that has befallen them?
Yeah, I know about it. I know of it.
where does it come from?
Oh, almost certainly those death dealers in Glibedartel. You know, there are some things we have in common with the necromancers, and there are others that we think maybe go a little too far. Disease is all well and good. We frown, however, on genocide. Though we know how to hide and wait out any kind of apocalyptic event. We'll show our heads again once it's past.
Well, do you know...
But yeah, you head to this temple, you should find your legionnaires, or what's left of them. I mean, they were pretty rusty when I last saw them.
Why would they have run into any trouble? You think there'd be residences of this old temple hanging about?
I have given you so much already. Unless you have something else for me. My friends and I will be leaving you now. I mean, I need to give you the directions. I will do so freely, but if you're looking for an entire catalogue of creatures that might kill you in this forest, that's going to take all night, and would require the handing over of the old elf.
Well, in that case, I suppose we'll be bidding you adieu.
If you had another day's travel, or if you're of sturdy stuff, you could do so in the night. And he gives you a direction. And in fact, it makes the map in Shagmane's possession seem quite accurate. There's a blotted section of the map that is clearly marked off as either unexplored or impassable. And from his description, the temple would be situated roughly in that area. But you can't miss it. You may miss the temple itself, don't get me wrong, but the land around it is wasteland. You will see as you approach, you will know that you are there, in a place where Mormo, our divine lady, was once held high. Our worship of her these days is slightly more refined than that.
I simply nod, begin to stand, and stow that dart back in my belt very slowly.
Be seeing you again then, Egna. And he vanishes off into the woods, unless anyone is doing something to the contrary.
No, I let him go.
No? In that case, the Hornsaw Sentinels disappear into the woods from whence they came. With the departure of the Hornsaw Sentinels, you are left in this thicket of woodland with, well, the elf whose name you now know is Egna. She looks at Cutter, and her hand is shaking as she points at him.
Yes, I know. Oh, how terrible. But thanks to me, you're gonna get to go to your resting place.
I told you. I told you to hand me over.
No, but then... Would you just want... something that evil to win? Surely not.
It's not always a question of victory, Paladin. Sometimes you just have to satisfy yourself with the lesser evil.
What can they do with that thing, then?
Oh, I do not know whether they even will, or whether they will just hold it over the village, but what I do know is that it formed part of the ward that kept the village safe. It isn't the only component there. It is not the cornerstone that will prevent the village from falling or anything like that, but it is a part of it that cannot be replicated. And now that the druids have it, who knows what they will try and do. We should get me to my shrine, Now that we know where your quarry ought to be, my shrine cannot be far from where we are now. Let me just die in peace.
I'm looking around and trying to get a bearing on where we are in the day.
It's mid-afternoon.
Yeah, we've been going for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should hurry up. We shouldn't stay out too late around here.
Now that you know to look for tripwires and traps, and of course the Hornsaw Sentinels weren't nearly so generous enough to tell you where they all were, you are slowly moving through the woods, trying not to set anything off. There is still the very real sense of danger from every little inch of plant life, even the ground beneath you. Now that you've seen those leeches in action, it's an overall hostile environment at a 360 degree, I guess, angle. The vines from above you may try and choke you, the trees may try and eat you, the thorns may attempt to poison you. It's slow going and induces a lot of wariness in each of you. But then, thankfully, respite is near as the elf utters, "Oh, thank the gods in the forest." You see a thickly overgrown stone altar. Behind it, the ruin of what may have been a chapel or temple. It's long since been dismantled and ruined. This is my conclusion. This is where I go.
What does it mean to you, this place?
In the time before this was all blighted, long before it was even close to being so, this was the first of the temples in the Broadreach. This was the first altar for the elves that arrived here first. We built this place to consecrate the land and the plants around us. And I am one of the eldest elves that still lives. It feels appropriate that I should end my life in the place where I helped build a shrine to life.
I walk around it and I try to see if there are any signs of this old magic still there.
There are. No roll required. There are. And she makes no bones about the fact that she finds a comfortable patch of moss, lays down on the stones, and clasps her hands over her chest. And to your surprise, she calls out to you and says, "Bard."
Yes.
"Try your song again, but use some of the words that you can see on the stones." Shagmane. You were in your town, the town of Leone, but not that long ago, not that long at all, not that far beyond, but you had never left before coming here. Not truly. And while you had studied at the College of Needles, and that had provided you with vital skills, and you were a bard of great ability, regarded highly by many about the city, your name was never going to travel. Just because you were never going to travel, you were comfortable. You were limited in your ambition. And so it was one time when you were strumming and singing away in a tavern by the name of the Burning Fish, that a small round of applause concluded your song, and one of your fellow students of the college approached you on your stage. Her name was Crazy. Unlike you, not iron-bred. She was human. Well, that may have been the most beautiful song I have ever heard leave your lips, Shagmane.
And me having done a few conquests at the college and with people where I perform, but never really gotten too crazy somehow. I stop as I'm about to bend over to pick up some of the winnings. Why, thank you. That's rare coming from you.
Oh, I recognise a good tune. I've not seen you around recently. Well, I suppose it would be better to say you haven't seen me around recently.
No, I haven't. What have you been up to?
I have been in the employ of a merchant prince.
Wow, that rings well. What do you do for him, sing lullabies?
I've been gone from this place for 2 months, Shagmane, and I'm not surprised that you didn't notice. Largely due to the fact that you waste your talents in taverns, you spend your coin on ale, and you are satisfied with the applause of drunks and travellers. Whereas I have been performing in grand pavilions. I've even performed in a palace. And I have received entreaties of marriage, of desire to be installed in a kingdom. You have the sweetest tone, and I remember I said that to you the first time I met you. Well, the first time I heard you, at least.
Yeah.
And yet you have no idea what to do with it.
I try to conceal my kind of jealousy for her, what she has been able to do, but also for the people that have been able to give her that for what she has too. Well, you know, you deserve that. You, I don't know. I'm good enough for this, but I don't know. Not a palace, Bard.
Well, the most disappointing thing I found coming back here was finding you were still here. I was hoping. You and I have never been friends, Shagmane. I mean, certainly nothing more. I've heard the rumours of what you spent your nights getting up to when some of us were studying.
Well, it makes for good stories.
It makes for bawdy stories in dives like this one. It doesn't make for good stories that you would tell a king or a prince or a travelling merchant of repute, does it? Do they wish to hear of your conquests? No, they wish to hear the epics. They wish to hear stories of true adventure, not bedroom activities. The way you strut and move your body during even the most somber of tunes. Yes, some people are ignorant enough to not pick up on it, but you have let yourself become a vessel of just the lowest form of music.
Hey, that's enough. I throw up my arms. What do you want from me? Come on. Did you just come here to give me a lecture?
Well, in part, yes. I certainly don't have the kind of offer for you that I got, and let's not let it be said, but still I shall say it. It is unlikely that an iron-bred such as yourself is ever going to get invited to the house of monarch.
Oh, that's enough, you snarky piece of...
But, I did hear word that there was a mission of sorts, a quest, if you're feeling poetic, to take someone of ability, a group of people of ability, into the Hornsaw.
The Hornsaw? Why would I want to go into the Hornsaw?
To make something of yourself. To write your own songs, maybe? To actually understand adventure rather than just reciting the words. And so I signed you up.
What?
I checked with the college and they thought it was a grand idea. I think, frankly, they're happy to be rid of you. And your bags are already packed. You'll obviously need to seek out mercenaries that have got, I guess, a death wish, but this may be the start of a grand opportunity for you, Shackmane.
What did you do? Did you tell them that I was I don't know my way around the Hornsaw. I mean, I just...
Oh, that's fine. I bought a map.
Yeah?
And she puts it in your hand, and it's a horrible blotted thing.
What do you...
Consider it a favour.
I just stand there and I just look at her. This person that I think I was in love with her for a while. And now she's giving me this? What does this mean? Why are you doing this for me, really?
Really? I suppose I can afford to be honest. Because you're not getting out of this. You broke a lot of hearts in the College of Needles, Shagmane. And sometimes that has consequences. One of those hearts belonged to a very dear friend of mine who, when she discovered what you had been doing with, it seems, so many others, well, she ran away from the college and she still hasn't been found. And I don't think you even noticed, because you were already between the legs of someone else. Now, you could consider this a sort of revenge, a death sentence with an indefinite duration. But really, I just want to impress upon you that being a shit-heeled bard without any aspiration or consideration toward anyone else is deserving of this. Maybe you can make yourself into a bard worthy of the epics that you like to trot out. Maybe you can make yourself an honourable ironbred.
You were kind of the only one I showed those things that I wrote. I know I never got to finish them.
Well, now is the perfect time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll meet again, maybe not, but consider this the first door that's actually been opened for you, combined with a kick to push you through it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Gracie. Sorry about your friend. Is she out there still?
She's somewhere and I'll find her. It's not your mission to find her.
Yeah.
Your quest is to make something better of yourself. And you need more than just guilt to make that happen.
When I get back, can I see you?
No. Shagmane, no. Try thinking as a creator of words and music. Romance isn't always driven by the heart and the loins. Sometimes it's driven by the pen and the song, the words from your lips. That's what you need to come back with. You need to come back with music inside you. Anyway, I'll let you get your bearings and your things, and
Yeah.
I will no doubt hear of your gallant death. Good luck.
Yeah.
Best fortune.
Thanks. I hope it'll make for a good story.
You are walking around the shrine, trying to find words of meaning, words you can string together into a song, as this elf, Egnar, lays there, waiting for you to apparently sing her a dirge, a song of passing over. But whether you go for a piece of music that is funerary in tone or something completely different is entirely up to you. Shagmane, what kind of song do you sing?
Well, I've been going a lot for the sadness and the comfort of sadness that has befallen this place, and people like hearing me singing that. But something about this altar and the history of this shrine, it makes me want to sing about creation, about consecration, of how things came to. I pick up some small words. It's hard to read, and I have to kind of take a little time to piece things together, and then I let inspiration overtake me.
You can make a performance roll with an advantage.
I roll an 11. It's the best I get.
And that's fine, because you struggle. You stumble over the words. It's a lack of confidence. It's partly the memory of what Crazy said to you. It's, of course, in part how you humiliated yourself in front of the elves just the day before. It's the knowledge that this is probably the first important song you've ever had to sing. The first time something has been demanded of you or even requested of you that has significance. And, of course, it's like the first time appearing on stage. You forget your lines, and there's no one there to feed you a line. You have to walk off stage, pick up, go back on, apologise to the elf that's laying there, and say, "We'll try again." And like many a theatrical audience, she gets behind you. She knows you are struggling. She knows you want to succeed, that you want this to be good, to have meaning for her. And so, when you ask for a second attempt, she smiles, she blinks in that way that can sometimes convey assent, and lets you start from the beginning. And you don't sing a song for the ages. You don't sing something that's going to be written up in bardic textbooks for years to come. It's probably never going to be repeated. And that is ultimately what is important from this. The song helps define you, Shagmane, because for all of its flaws, for its bum notes and words that you trip over or forget, it is a song from you to this old lady. And the only person it will stay with after she's gone is you. And so by the end of it, perfectly timed, because elves have a way of doing this, she is gone, she has closed her eyes, and she has moved on. And your song has ended.
And as I finish the final notes and let it fade out, and I see her so at peace, and feeling that I, for the first time since back at the college when I used to write my own things, I never performed them, only Gracie found them, read them. For the first time I did something that was genuinely me. And I sit down and I weep.
Your companions see this, and they have been present for all of this. Turfin, Cutter, how do you act around this?
Well, Turpin stays quiet. Most of the time she's not very creative at all, and she doesn't know music that well. She's never showed an interest for it, but there was something about this performance that touched her, even though she might not be more than a soul in an armor. When the song is over, she walks over and puts her hand on his shoulder, looks over at the elderly lady, and she squeezes his shoulder in like a I'm here kind of way, letting him know that he's not alone and that he did a good job.
And as you do, my gentle sobs turn into a flood, and I cry loudly.
Sorry, you did good. You did good. It was the best way she could go.
I wrinkle my nose a little. I didn't say anything during all this ceremony. If anything, the song wasn't bad at all this time, not bad at all. But it's not my thing, so I've sort of just sat a little far away watching the forest. I do have a small little tinge of concern, regret, guilt, I'm not really sure. I didn't know that what I stole was something important, that was the whole point. But I try and push it back, knowing that it had to be done, achieved a good result, and if this village is destroyed by one missing little ward, well then they clearly weren't going to make it anyway. But I won't say anything, and after a pause, I'll eventually just remark, we should be heading off soon, just in case there's a chance some of your legionnaires are still alive. Just saying.
Yeah. You're right. I'm sorry. I just... Thank you. And I take out the map. Yeah. So yeah, this it should be in this uncharted territory, and well, she said to continue down this path. So yeah. I'm good. I'm ready to lead again.
Turfin, you ready to go, or do you need a moment?
No. We should get on with the quest at hand. There's no time for emotions. We must go.
Aye, for the greater good and all that. Good.
And you march on. You march on through the rest of the day and into the night, headed in the direction of the temple that you've been told about, knowing that there may well be danger here. Certainly that's what the sentinel implied, if not outright stated. Your first sign of this danger comes not but a couple of hours later, when, as you're walking through the dark with torches lit and also illuminated by Turfin's glow, as Hollow Legionnaires cannot help but glow, is when, Cutter, your foot connects with something metal.
I freeze and sort of look down, almost wondering if I've snagged a trap already.
What?
Just give me a moment. And I just cautiously look down, trying not to move any more than I already have.
It's part of a breastplate, and it looks horribly corroded.
Hey.
Brown, spotted.
I lower myself. I'm almost about to touch the breastplate, but then I kind of don't. I just sort of step back and say to Turfin, maybe don't be touching anything, but look at this armor over here.
Do I recognize it?
There's not much to recognize. There's bits and pieces of metal scattered all over the place. Whether this is the remains of a Hollow Legionnaire or someone else that lost their armour to rust is frankly impossible to tell, because when a Hollow Legionnaire is destroyed, they leave no body, they just leave armour. But if the symptoms match the virus that you've been told of, and it appears that they could, if there's any reassurance to be found, it's that you're closing in.
Well, I look around warily. I think it's starting to get a bit dark. Maybe we should pause. I could erect a barrier and we could be safe for the night.
We're so close.
Aye, let's just go on a little more, just a little. If we aren't at this temple in the next hour, then yes, we should rest.
Yeah, well, you know how we done it before. It's kept us safe so far. I'm just saying that I'll use my magic if we need to, just to set up, but fine.
You keep going. Can I ask for a survival roll from Shagmane, please?
I'll happily also use any perception that I can use, but...
This is in particular survival.
Very good. Okay, it's a 5.
Mm-hmm. You're not lost, so that's good. But yeah, you think that if you continue on this current course, you're probably going to end up encountering something that you will have no way of adequately fighting in this dark. And you have the added problem of the fact that you are completely illuminating yourselves to any nighttime predators.
Yeah, I kind of start and then I just... No, I don't think this is a good idea at all. We're being spotted. You are glowing in the dark, literally. We're gonna be set upon by something, you know, whatever it is. You know this forest. It's not a good idea.
Aye, maybe you have a point. Alright then, let's set up camp near these trees, get some shelter. Don't touch anything looking weird.
No need to tell me twice. And I start casting the spell Tiny Hut to form a place for us to be safe and rest.
It's what's kept you safe every night prior, and also ensured you didn't travel at night, staying within the magical residence. at Shagmaid's fingertips has been a positive boon for which you've all been very grateful. And so you duck in, feeling uneasy, but at the same time relieved to have this artificial magical warmth. For Turfin it's particularly difficult, however. Your people are out there somewhere. And the longer you rest, the longer your companions rest, the worse it's probably going to get for your fellow legionnaires.
I don't want us to rest for too long. At the break of dawn, we're leaving.
Sure.
Aye, sure thing.
First light, first light.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played Dead Man's Rust for Scarred Lands and 5e, which is published by our friends at Onyx Path Publishing and is on Kickstarter right now. Our game master was the gentleman gamer Matthew Dawkins, and Craig and Hjalmar were joined by our dear friend Klara Herbøl. The music was created by Ager Sonus and Halgrath, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Visit cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more music for your games. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, and David Hagberg for their generous support. And we would of course like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cultivated Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you for listening, and see you soon again.